Railroad University is on the traditional lands of the Lekwungen and Cosapsons families and nation, also known as the Sunhi and Esquimalt. This statement means that we at Railroad recognize the importance of Indigenous land and non-Indigenous peoples' relationship as we continue to learn to understand each other, the history, present, and future scopes of Indigenous people. And today I'm on campus, so I'm joining you from those lands. And I invite you to use the chat option if you want to introduce yourself, introduce the land that you are on today if you know it, so we can get a little bit more in an interactive session and get the conversation going. Today, I'm here to discuss the Master of Arts and the Graduate Diploma in Disaster and Emergency Management, and I'm so pleased to be with Dr. Kathleen Mannion. And Kathleen, maybe if you want to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nancy. It's lovely to be here with everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us to have a little bit of a perusal through this program. Before we get started, I just wanted to also take a moment to acknowledge the fact that I'm currently in Ontario, so maybe some of you are as well, in the and I, of course, practice this, but it's not my traditional territory where I'm normally on, but the Haudenosaunee people's location. So it's fabulous to be here. And back to you, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that we all take the time to just reflect, pause, and think about the land we're joining on from today. Yeah. In this busy world when we do so much, maybe my invitation to all of you today is just to be here, be present with us for this session, and feel free to ask any questions. So the agenda for today will be welcome and introduction, as we're doing. I'm looking at the chat. So many people are introducing themselves. That's wonderful. I also want to acknowledge that my colleague Emara is here to support. So she is the tech support with us, which means that if you have any technical issue or any questions, she'll be helping us in the chat. We'll do a review of Railroad experience, the program overview, admission and application, and then we'll do a bit of conversation and answering questions at the end.
I also believe, just to quickly pop in here again, I believe I saw Diana Scott in here too, and she could also answer questions.
Thank you for adding this. Yeah, the enrollment team is so important to us. So if you have any specific question, and I'll give you Diana's info at the end as well. But that's a very good point. Thank you. And I see more people are joining, so that's wonderful. For those joining, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and introduce in the lands that you're coming from. So the agenda, perfect, Railroads University. So I invite you maybe using that reaction button here if you want to just let me know, let us know if you have come to campus before. So you can use the little heart or the little thumbs up if you came to campus before. So just a few images of Railroads University. So on the top left, you have the Hatley Castle, I would say the most iconic building that we have on campus, built in 1908. And believe it or not, that was a retirement house before. Then it became a military college, and then it's Railroads University since 1995. We also have 565 acres of land. So on the top right, you can see Japanese garden, so many trails that you can use if you ever come on campus, or if you study online and you maybe just take a vacation in Victoria. We're about 20 minutes from downtown Victoria in a city named Colwood. At the bottom left, we have the Esquimalt Lagoon, which is a bird sanctuary, a very peaceful place to have a walk, a picnic, chat with your colleagues. And on the bottom right, I find it important to mention that Railroads University is an online institution since day one. Since 1995, our faculty, staff, students have been in an online environment. So it's not something that we had to pivot to in the past years. It's really something that is ingrained in us and that we're really good at. And here I'll pass it to Kathleen for the program overview.
Lovely, thank you. I was joking earlier with Nancy that I'm currently on holiday, so poking my head in here to say hello to all of you, but I just have to remind myself of where do I work and what do I do? So hopefully we'll be able to give you a good overview of the program. And it is exciting to be able to be working in this program. It's not the area that I normally work in. I've just had the privilege of working in this space for just over a year now. And it is so fantastic to be able to watch what students do with the material in the program, but also to hear the stories of the work that they've done leading up to their time in the program. So one of the things that's really unique, I think, about Royal Roads University and this program as well, is that we really do have a solid, strong learning, teaching, and research model, which we do apply in all of the work we do. And one of the components of that is that we focus on applied learning. So bringing your real world experience to the program is really important, and sharing that with others, whether you're a younger student and bringing your academic knowledge and wisdom and your enthusiasm, or you're a more seasoned worker with lots of years behind you, whatever that is, bringing it into this space creates a really fantastic dynamic for learning together. If you wanted to move on, thank you. So we do have a couple of different options if you wanted to join us for the disaster emergency management programs. We have a Master's of Arts, which is a just over 2 years program, which is 36 credits. But we also offer 2 versions of this. You can do it fully online. One of the things that was fantastic that we learned during the pandemic is there is this group of students who have been wanting to do this program for some time, but they haven't been able to because our traditional blended offerings require you to be on campus twice for 2 weeks, and that hasn't been feasible for a number of students. So we opened up the opportunity to have a fully online program, and we have that now. It's a little bit longer than the traditional blended offering, just to give people a little bit more space to complete their program, particularly in those times where we are in the blended program offering the programs that have a residential component, giving a little bit more space between those. And I'll talk a bit more about that. We also have the traditional blended program, which is offered mostly online, but as I said, there are 4 courses that you would be taking, which are blended. So you have 2 weeks on campus, and the rest of the course is actually still online. But that is a unique opportunity to come in person and really delve into the material on campus with your cohort. Hoping that we don't have to go back online because of COVID, but assuming that's the case, it is a really fantastic opportunity. We also have a graduate diploma. So if you just want to come in and try it out a little bit, you can do just the 1 year, just 18 credits, and then graduate with a graduate diploma. And again, we have the same online and blended offerings for that. Okay, thanks, Nancy. So looking at the program at a glance, this is what it looks like. So we start off pretty easy. We want to give you a taste of online learning if it's new to you. Some of you come in prepared and you've done this before, but others haven't, and others haven't been in school for quite some time. So we like to have a soft landing into the program. So we start with 2 non-credit courses. Student orientation to learning is a great course, non-credit course. So it gives you a few activities that you're going to do just to get you back into the headspace of academic learning, but also to build community, to start to build a cohort so that you get to know each other in this 3 weeks. This is an online course, and we'll usually meet 3 times in those first 3 weeks live, just so that you get to know one another and you get to know me as the program head and your team coach as well. Royal Roads is lucky to be able to have access to team coaches, which support the work that we do in teams. Team work being such a fundamental component of most disaster emergency management work. Alongside this, you're also doing an introduction to academic integrity. Again, this is for some a review of what this looks like. For others, it is brand new. So this will just get you in the right headspace to start your program well. And from there, after those first 3 weeks, we jump into the first course, DEM 502, Foundations of Disaster and Emergency Management. One of the great things about this course that I've found is that it allows people from all the different sectors, because we do have quite a breadth of people coming to the program. But this allows us to start with some definitions and start with some shared languages about disasters and different ways of approaching emergency management. So it is a wonderful way to build knowledge across and transdisciplinary. From there, we're going to move into looking at some of the tactile important elements of actually building processes that are going to support us through a range of different disaster emergency management through DEM 503, where you're looking at facilitation and coordination. You're looking at how to build decisions in those multi-stakeholder environments that you've started with. One of the things that's quite interesting from there as you move into the next course, DEM 504, human dimensions of disasters. This is where you really start to delve into what does resilience mean? What role does it play within this space? What are different populations within our societies? How are they feeling or impacted by different kinds of disasters in different ways? And what could we do with our policies and our programs to really support them? Both DEM 503 and 504 are our residency courses. So we start you off online in 502, and the residency course, if you're doing the blended program, you'll come on campus for the 2 weeks to do 503 and 504 at the same time. So this is one of the times where you're taking 2 courses at once. Other than this, you're going to be taking 1 at a time with a little break in between. From there, you go back to the online world. Just to go back to the programming for the online folks will take DEM 504 fully online, but 503 is the one course where we're going to have a residency, but it's not in person. So this is an intensive 1 week within your 9-week course where you are expected to be available during the day. So it's more full-time hours in that 1 week, and it's the only one in the online program. After you finished DEM 503 and 504, you're going to be introduced to HUM's 551, Foundations of Research. Now, this is a fantastic course because it introduces you to a range of different research and research methodologies, but mainly as a consumer of research, so that you can read and understand how research is developed, and that you can become discerning in what constitutes good research and what maybe is a little bit in need of further work. So that's also going to give you an opportunity to think about whether or not you want to go on to do your own research, or whether you just want to continue to be a consumer of research. And in this course, you'll build some of the skills to think about developing your own research if you want to do that track. We go into then 2 courses, which are well, we do one course which everyone takes, which is DEM 552, Hazards and Disaster Risk Management, where again, you're going to be working through different ideas of different hazards and different strategies for managing risks in different environments. For students who decide they want to do either a course-based track or an internship, they're going to also take DEM 55, sorry, it is 553, there's a typo there, Disaster Response and Sustainable Recovery. But for those who want to take the thesis path and are interested in actually continuing on to do their own research, we have a special course which is going to further develop your research methodology, skills and knowledge in HUM's 630 Advanced Research Methods. This is an interesting course because I love research. So this is an area that gets me excited. But beyond that, it's interesting because in the School of Humanitarian Studies, which is where disaster and emergency management sits, we actually share this course across the whole school. So you would be taking this course alongside students who are taking the conflict analysis and management program, the justice studies program, and the human security and peace building program.
Wonderful, Kathleen. If I may, yeah, I got some questions already in the chat, and some people were saying if they understand well, and that's my understanding too, is that at the beginning, the few courses, the people from the graduate diploma and the master will be together, which bring a little bit, as you mentioned, that community and teamwork opportunity. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So you will, so teamwork is something that we do emphasize, and you are with both the graduate diploma students and the degree students, but you may also be joined by students from other programs as well across the university, particularly in DEM 502.
That's great, yeah. And about the courses, another question we often get when we meet people during events is each course is about 10 weeks, as you mentioned, and some course in the residency will be a full week or 2 weeks. Could you let people know if, for example, people are joining from abroad, is it expected of them to be on a certain day and time in school, or can they be more flexible with their schedule?
So across most of the courses, there is some flexibility. In most courses, you're going to have some live sessions. They are going to be recommended. So it's possible that you might not be able to attend because you're in a time zone where it doesn't work. At the same time, instructors will work with the cohort to find times that make the most sense for the majority of students, knowing that most students continue to work while they're in the program. So they may be on shift work, even if they're in a time zone that is conducive to this work. So there is some flexibility in that. However, during the residency periods, it is more important that you are able to join live. That is, of course, a little bit challenging for those that are in different time zones. And I did see that we have a couple of international students, potential students, in this particular session from Guinea and Cameroon and the UK, I think I saw. So again, it's important to ask those questions around the time you're applying and whether or not you're applying to the online program or to the blended program.
Great. And I know that residency, I think we call them learning intensive sometime, and that means it all, you're right, of like, we're here online or blend, or if you're blended, you're on campus, and then you're fully with your cohort to work on some wicked problems. If you're in person, it's not a problem because you've come, you might be dealing with jet lag, but during that 1 week, we will make accommodations. And usually what we do for that 1 week intensive is try to set them in the morning in Pacific Standard Time, which allows the most flexibility for those that are in Canada and even those that are in Europe. It gets, of course, a little bit trickier the further east students are, but again, if you are joining us, you can reach out to us and ask more specific questions around the dates and times for those online residencies. Wonderful. And before we move to the next slide, I think I have another question of how many hours about per week would you say? And you mentioned it, but just to say it again, at Railroads, we have a lot of working professionals. So people will go back to school and work and learn at the same time. So what would be the average you think someone should commit per week?
It's a great question, one we always get. Each course is a 3-credit course. And what we say across all courses is that each credit should be about 33 hours of student effort. So what that means is it's 99 hours of student effort for students. We actually find that in the master's level, you need a little bit more. As you're taking one course at a time, you are looking at 12 to 15 hours would really support you well to move through the program. And Nancy, I almost throw that back to you because we were just chatting about the fact that you're a student now. How many hours would you say helps you?
Thank you. Yeah, I would say the same. Planning for about 10 hours, 10 to 15 will be setting us up for success. And when it's 8 hours, you just feel better because you have a bit more free time.
Exactly. There you go. And that's a good point. Some weeks will be busier than others. So
yeah, especially when we have teamwork to do, as you mentioned. And sometimes we just want to take more time to dig in into one of the topic because the full team is inspired by it. And then we meet a bit more. But yeah, thank you for asking. And I think we'll transition to the second years now. Yeah.
Actually, I have to go back because this was
Yeah.
where my holiday brain did kicking, and I said something incorrect. Everyone would take DEM 553.
Okay.
What they wouldn't take is DEM 601. So if you were going to take the graduate diploma, you would exit at that point there. And then the next residency for the blended students would be DEM 601, and you would choose either DEM 602 or the research methods course. I did just want to take a moment to suggest that you do have as a student these three options, which I think is really fantastic, which allows you to tailor your program in a way that suits you, but also to build on the benefits of having a structured first year and then more autonomy in the second year. So I talked a little bit about those who want to do their own research and go down the thesis path. You'll take the advanced research methods course, and then you would start to do your own research through a thesis. You'll look for a supervisor and a committee that would support you to do your own independent work. That's one path. Students also have the choice of taking either a course-based track fully, or to take course-based track with an internship option. So if you're taking the course-based track, you will take DEM 602, Advanced Professional Practice, which is a fun course. In this course, you get to actually work with a community partner to actually build a plan of some kind. You'll take 3 elective courses, and I'll talk a little bit more about them in the next slide, but then you'll look at culminating all of the work that you've done at the end of that with the last course in the program, which is HUMS 691, which is a short paper, which is to summarize everything you've learned in the track that you've taken. It's very similar for those who choose the internship track. You'll take DEM 602, Professional Practice. You'll then do an internship, which is 6 credits or the equivalent of 2 courses to go and work with a partner, a community partner in some way. And then you still have the benefit of taking 1 elective course. And then again, you join the course-based track students and take HUMS 691. Okay, you can change the slide now. So I've just gone through much of this material and looking at those different tracks. I'll just go on to tell you a little bit more about the internship option. For those of you that take that, the internship requires 420 hours of work experience. And on top of that, there is some coursework. But it's really interesting to see where students have chosen to do their placements for that internship track. And to the next slide. Here is a list of the options. Again, because we're in the School of Humanitarian Studies, we share these elective options with the other 3 programs I mentioned before: Justice Studies, Conflict Analysis and Management, and Human Security and Peace Building, which has been a fantastic benefit for the school because it means we have this very diverse range of specialized topics that you can choose from. You, of course, have the ability to choose any one you want to, but there are some that are highlighted here that have been more popular with disaster and emergency management students here, looking at risk and crisis communication or policy and practice in humanitarian action, intercultural competence. case studies in humanitarian action, adaptive management for complex humanitarian problems, psychosocial intervention, that's a particularly popular one, professional practice and conflict change management, Indigenous perspectives on humanitarianism, and managing complex projects. Again, a whole range of options, but those are particularly popular within this program. Okay.
That's so exciting, just reading about them. There's I want to take them all if I was in the in the program. And as you mentioned, I think they're really, we need them so much in the world we live in. So that's very great. And something I didn't mention at the beginning is that most of the instructor are also, they become kind of your network as well. And I think people do a lot of groundwork already. So the instructors we have in the classes, they're people that have worked in it or still work in the industry, right?
Absolutely. So we have an amazing set of instructors who are working and they're working in a variety of different places, mainly in North America, but both Canada and the United States, and are working in all kinds of different areas. And they bring their knowledge and practice into the classroom as well. And they're also, as you say, a fantastic network to support students as they move often into a new area of work once they leave the program. And we've actually had quite a few students who've gone on to do their doctoral work and come back to the program and teach with us. So that's also exciting to see.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The program is only one of two in Canada that's really focused on this. So it is a pretty small and tight network.
Thank you for adding more details. And here I see people are getting excited in the chat about how do we apply, when is the next intake. So I will move forward with that information here. So just a reminder that to apply, it's pretty simple. We go on royalroads.ca on the website. You have a how to apply little section there with 10 steps to follow. And I'll tell you more info right now. So at Royal Roads, we have what we call two types of admission. So we have standard admission and we have flexible admission. And I'll discuss both options right now with you. So the standard admission means that you will come to us with a 4-year or comparable undergrad degree in a relevant and related field with a minimum GPA of B+. And I like the little asterisk here, is that the relevant and related field, they can be defined by each program based on disciplinary and or professional practices. So they can vary, and that will be kind of your role as an applicant to let us know what you study and answering a few questions to let us know, let the admission people know why you should be a good candidate in the program. So it's not a specific, it doesn't seem to be something that is very rigid. You can really bring it depending of what you study and your work experience and volunteer experience. But really for the standard admission will be, we require you to have a 4-year degree with that GPA of B+. And Kathleen, I'll ask you to maybe jump in the flexible after this one, because I know people will be like, oh, but I don't have the standard admission. What can I do? And this is not something you need to check in the application process. It's really our team, the admission advisor team, will be able to look at your profile, look at the information you're submitting and say, oh, that person doesn't meet the standard, but can be maybe a flexible admission. So if you go through flexible admission, that means that maybe you have a degree, you have the degree requirement, but you don't have the GPA. In that case, we will ask of you to have 5 years of relevant professional experience. If you apply and you don't have the degree, neither you don't have the GPA, of course, so we will require 10 years of work experience with a minimum of 2 years in a management or leadership position. And all this, you'll be able to let us know about it in the personal statement on top of the transcript, which I will see in the next slide. And if you come with the flexible admission to this program, then you will be asked to take a course that we give here at Royal Roads many times per year, which is called Academic Writing and Critical Thinking. It's through professional and continuous studies. And this course will require you that you pass it with a 97% mark. And that course, I took it myself. It's such a beautiful way to get back to the academic world. So learning about using the APA style, learning how to write a research paper, and really set you up for success for your coming program. Would you have anything? I know, Kathleen, you have worked with so many applicants and students. Anything to add here?
Well, maybe I'll start with just looking at the academic writing and critical thinking course itself. I have gotten quite a bit of feedback from students that it has been really helpful. Even those who are good writers, writing in the academic environment is a different kind of skill set. So just reminding yourself of that or learning it for the first time is a great course. We get really good feedback from students for that. It's a nice way to enter the program. But in looking at those students who come in, yeah, it's really about making that connection, right? Telling us in your letter, how does the experience that you have, why is that relevant, and how is it equivalent or more than what you would have gotten in previous academic work. And again, we have had lots of students coming from lots of different backgrounds, and increasingly, for instance, we're seeing a lot of health professionals that are joining us because, of course, we have just come through a major pandemic. So again, it's about putting in your application how you see disaster and emergency management as the field you want to go into, and how you think the work that you've done up until this point has really helped you on that journey.
Wonderful. And here, as I mentioned, we go online, we start the application, you will pay a small fee of $100.31.39, and then you will get your application ID, which allow you to submit more documents to us. So you will be asked to provide any official transcript. So any post-secondary institution that you attended in your life, you will need to connect with them, ask them to send the transcript to Railroads via email or mail. We'll ask you to provide a personal statement, and personal statement you will find on the website more questions, so really things you can reflect on to write that statement of where you're coming from, where you're at, and where you want to go. So it's a bit like selling yourself and like reflecting of what you have done that makes you a good candidate for the program, as well as a structured resume. So the resume can be something, yes, we do it for work, but for school, you really have to reflect again of all the volunteer experiences you had, the institution you attended, and the work experiences related to the program. So you can really develop a nice resume for our team to be able to better understand who you are. And 2 letters of reference. And what we like to say about those letters is that you can write first your personal statement, and then you can share the statement with your referees. So they can see why you want to join the program, and then they will write the letters and share them directly with us. Anything to add there, Kathleen?
No, I think you summed it up well. Thank you, Nancy.
Wonderful. And I'll let people in the waiting room. Here we go. And the question that I see that come up a lot in the chat today is like the upcoming intakes. And we had a great question about, do we apply for the graduate diploma or the master? Do they start together? The answer is yes, they start together at the same time. And if you want to just, how do we say, touch the water, try the water a little bit and apply for the graduate diploma, depending of your grade and how you're doing in the program, you can totally merge and go to the master after with some paperwork being done with the program. So that can be a nice way for you to just try the program to start with. And here are the important dates. So we have a start date in November with the application deadline on August 21st, 2022. We also have the 2023 date already available, and this is for the blended delivery. As Kathleen beautifully mentioned, the blended will mean that you will come on campus for a few weeks. If you do the online version, that will be a start date of June 19, 2023 or 2024, with an application deadline on March 19, 2023. And what I like to say, and really emphasis here at Railroads, is that we don't wait at the application deadline to analyze your file. So if you're ready today and you want to jump into one of the programs, you can already start your application, submit your documents, and you will get an answer from us in a few weeks or a few months, depending of the of the length of your application, but we won't wait the application deadline. So don't wait at the end of August. You can already start now. Even if you're looking for 2023, 2024, you can already apply and select that intake when you do your application process. Anything to add there, Kathleen?
I think just going back a little bit, you mentioned that you can start in the graduate diploma and then decide you want to go to the master's. Yes, you can, absolutely. The application and the requirements are exactly the same. So you could also do the other way around. You could apply to the master's, and then if something comes up in your life and it's just not the right time, you can also choose to exit after the first year. The first year, the program is exactly the same. So
the same one. Yeah, I really, yeah, that's great flexibility. I think that's what we need now in our life, a bit of flexibility.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. And I have a question in the chat here about the size of the program. So how many students in average would you have per intake?
That's a really great question. And of course, things do fluctuate year to year. I would say on average, we are looking at about 25 to 30 students, and that's a good size. It allows you to get to know one another. We can have larger cohorts, but because we have 2 intakes a year, I think that that's likely to see what you're going to see in coming in. And it's, again, it's a nice size for coming in.
And we know that going back to school is an important component. It's a huge decision for everybody. So I invite you maybe to take a picture of print screen of that slide, review it, and really connect with the financial aid team at Royal Roads, because they are the experts. They know which external loans or grants are available, what support you can get internally. So really, this is the to-go team when you're ready to move forward with your application and get some funding and financial aid. And I was mentioning earlier, Deanna Scott is with us today from the enrollment team. So that's wonderful. She has been posting a lot of links, and we will make sure to share those links with you with the recording link. But the enrollment team, you can reach them by phone, by email, and you can as well use your phone as you watch this presentation and scan the QR code to be connected with one of our team members for more questions. And we really thank you for being here, making the time, and we can open up for some question right now, looking in the chat. And for some of you that might come to campus in the coming months or years, the peacock, the famous peacock that we see here, we have a few dozens on campus. So you might have seen them on our Instagram or Facebook. Kathleen, I'm sure you have seen many of those peacocks too.
Oh, many of those. And yeah, I don't think you can miss them if you're on campus, and they also seem to be replicating.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. So
I see that there's a question in the chat about graduate assistantship positions, and I'm not sure if someone answered that in the chat, but I did just want to briefly mention that we don't have a program per se for this, as some universities do. At the same time, we do have a range of faculty who are doing research. So it is possible that you could work with a faculty member who is requiring a research assistant. And less common, but it is possible that you might be able to pick up a teaching assistant program if you were working in one of the undergraduate programs. But we don't have a specific program as other universities, or some universities do.
okay. And I think another question we're getting is about what type of position or work graduate have been doing. I know it's vague. So many things, huh?
Yes, so many things. How long is a piece of string? I think one of the things that I often see students do is they come into the program, particularly with a lot of frontline service experience, and they're moving more into policy and planning. So I see a lot of that kind of work happening. As I mentioned, we have a number of students who decide to go on and do further work, and they go on and do their doctoral work. We have students who are looking to move up the management trail in fire services or in hospitals, or just such a breadth of different work. For some students, disaster emergency management is relatively new, or it's something that's just been introduced into their particular line of work, and they're really looking for that theoretical knowledge that's going to support them to move it to the work that they're doing. So a whole range.
Great. And I think the only other question was from Stephanie, and I see that Diana is asking it about if someone needs to take a little leave or absence, can we jump into with the next cohort or the next year?
Yes, of course, life happens, right? That is a given. So it is common for students to have something that comes up, which means that they need to take a little break. And our program staff will be happy to work with you to make sure that you have a pathway that's really going to support you in the work you do.
Great. And I see the other questions are a bit more specific, so I think I'll let Diana answering them, and feel free for anyone watching the presentation right now or the recording, really connect with the enrollment team. They will be always available to share more information with you and guide you through the next intakes and maybe review the blended and the online formats if you need to. So thank you so much, Kathleen. That was a real pleasure to be with you today. Thank you everyone for coming to the session, and we'll send you the recording link as soon as we get it. Wonderful. Have a good day.
Fantastic. Thank you.